Hey guys, today we have Kirsty, and Kirsty has developed a trigger finger injury over the last 2 months doing CrossFit, lifting weights, sort of doing the Olympic weightlifting, hanging from a bar, doing chin-ups, things like that. They've all become a bit of an issue for her. And so what happens with trigger finger is the tendon that sort of runs through the hand, it actually gets caught in the sheath and it will lock in place. And sometimes Kirsty will have to actually force that open. So that's still the case, still happening? Yeah, can we have a look at that? Yeah, so that's not ideal. So today's Kirsty's second treatment. So her first one, for a chronic injury, she had 2 or 3 days change in symptoms, which is a really good result. And if we do that probably 3 or 4 times, we should expect pretty significant changes to the pressure on that tendon. Now, last week, all we did was treating the arm because it was a new injury. We had to work out what was going on. But today, which is key for these sorts of injuries, is not just treating the arm, but also going up into the shoulder to change the mechanics of the way she pulls to take the pressure off this as well. And that's key to fixing these long term. So the main muscle in the arm that we're going to treat is Flexor Digitorum. And that muscle runs from here all the way down to the fingers and is the big player in causing these symptoms. And we're going to use ART, active release technique, and dry needling to change the symptoms on that. So let's get into it. So, and the key with active release technique is really we're taking the muscle from its shortened position here, taking tension through the fascia, and then lengthening it to sort of open that up. Now, each of these passes we usually do sort of 8 to 9 times. That's probably the most effective way to change these. And it's not horribly painful, would you say? Like, yeah. We do get stuck in a little bit. So this is quite a common injury with some CrossFitters, bodybuilders. I see it a lot. But I actually see it more commonly in sort of processing plants, food manufacturing, things where people have to grip a lot, those repetitive labor type roles. Just, picking up objects, carpenters as well, sort of squeezing power tools, they'll get this as a lot as well. Now, luckily for Kirsty, she hasn't developed any nodules in the tendon, and that's when it can get really nasty and require surgery. All right, Kirsty, we're going to sort of rip into this a little bit more. This time, what you're going to do, sort of close your hand, not to the point where you're going to get that locked finger, because we don't want to do that, but you're going to open it up and then open the hand all the way. I'm going to use my hip to really stretch it out. Okay? Go for it. Good. Yeah, it's a bit more intense, this one. Yeah. You're doing well. Just one more. So we've just worked through the muscle belly of the flexor digitorum. Now we're going to get down more into these tendons and into the hand as well. So other people, when they get symptoms from the flexor digitorum, you can either get things like trigger finger, but the other major issue, if you have a problem with this muscle, is carpal tunnel. So the tendons, rather than thickening up in the hand, will thicken up at the wrist and compress on the nerve through there. So I think this injury is probably a little bit better to develop and easier to treat than carpal tunnel, but it would sort of require very similar treatment, taking all the pressure off that flexor digitorum. Now we want to change the tone of the hand. So Lily, if you want to come around. So we'll work on the thenar muscles. They're the muscles that control the thumb. Now we've worked all through that flexor digitorum. The next muscle that sort of works in sync with that is the Pronator teres, which comes across here. So to do this, what we have to do is sort of twist the arm as we stretch through the muscle down this way. Again, another big player in carpal tunnel or median nerve entrapments if this gets worse too. That's pretty awful there too, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the last one.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Just one more on that spot. All right, so like I was saying, the next thing that we really have to focus on is going up the chain, working on things that sort of internally rotate the shoulder. So the next one we're going to hit is the lats. When was the last time you had your shoulder worked on?
A few months ago.
Okay, this will be fun then. All right, so the lats actually didn't feel too bad today. So I'm assuming that we're going to find more with the subscapularis, which is part of the rotator cuff. So Kirsty, let's go face up for the next one. Now the subscapularis, internal rotator, stabilizer of the shoulder, it sits on the underside of the shoulder blade. Lily, if you want to come around this side. So we sort of just reach under here. Now I'm on the underside of the shoulder blade. We sort of again, pin and stretch that one as we lengthen the muscle. This one can be a little more uncomfortable. Now guys, if you're liking what you're seeing, feel free to subscribe. That's a great way to support the channel and help me sort of bring more content so you can see other techniques we use here in the clinic. All right, well done. Next, pec minor. So pec minor is massive with postural issues. Sitting at the desk long periods, driving, all that sort of thing, which, do you do a lot of? Driving and that?
Driving a little bit.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the arm in a protracted position. Take the pressure on that muscle and we sort of just drop it back. I'm not going to do too many passes because I can tell this is horrible. We're just going to get enough to make some changes today on that. One more. Great. So that's taken all the pressure out of the primary muscles leading to that sort of issue with that flexor digitorum. Now it's dry needling time. Okay, yeah. So let's start with your arm there. All right, you ready? Yep. Cool. So this first point, this is where that pronator teres and the flexor digitorum sort of start. Just hit that one. And I like to do most of the needling through the muscle belly. Once you sort of get into the tendon, I find that the pressure that you take off the muscle isn't as sort of significant. It's a little bit more uncomfortable. You're going to probably hit other tissues. You're not going to be as accurate with it. And we'll get one more in through there. Now we'll sort of hit some of those other sort of muscles that will be pulling, or internally rotating. Next muscle is the brachialis, just under the bicep here. A little twitch out of that. And then the anterior delt. I think just one more should be enough, yeah? we go. Let me pause there. All right, so that's been 5 minutes. Let's get these needles out now. So the next step, and if you have trigger finger, this is a really great thing that you can do at home to sort of work through that tendon and manage it a little bit yourself. Kirsty, if you want to sit up. It's called Graston technique or fascial scraping. So what I recommend for patients to do, where they find that tendon or the pain, usually you can sort of feel it through there. You get the edge of a spoon, and you don't want to dig in, but just sort of have it fairly flat. Get some, moisturizer, something like that, just something cheap, and you just sort of rubbing it back and forth. I recommend doing that for like 3 to 4 minutes at a time. And what it does, it actually shakes free the sheath and sort of like separates the tendon from the sheath and where it's getting entrapped. And so if you do that each day, just gently, it shouldn't be causing too much redness or bruising or anything like that. It'll be comfortable, and that will sort of really speed up the results that you get alongside with this treatment. So for Kirsty, I would recommend 3 or 4 more sessions, especially given that she already got results after the first one. I expect this to change quite quickly. See you guys next time.